Johnson. Let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's get right into it with some NFL content as we are already through 6 weeks in the NFL. And we had a couple of really good Monday Night Football games. It seems like it's becoming the norm now for it to be a doubleheader on Monday night rather than just the first week of the season. But we got 2 great games this week, and we're going to talk about the second one, starting things off here with the Bears beating the Commanders 25-24. And for those of you who aren't as locked in as Kaz and I, the storyline coming into Monday night's game was the matchup of last year's first and second overall picks between Caleb Williams, Toddy's boy, and Jaden Daniels, who some people are arguing should have been taken first overall instead of Caleb Williams. And the thing that was really interesting about this game, too, is for those of you who may recall when these two teams matched up last season in Washington, D.C., and the Bears seemed like they were going to win it until a Hail Mary at the end. A Bears defender is walking off, waving at the fans, and then he has to run back into the play because he's realizing, the Commanders are throwing a Hail Mary right now. Noah Brown from the Ohio State University hauls it in, and the Commanders steal a win from the Bears. And now it was almost a reverse, Kaz, because the Bears basically stole a win from the Commanders as they win 25-24, but the Commanders led 24-16 with 3.5 minutes left in this game, and the Bears ripped the victory away from them. And for me, the biggest storyline of this game was not even the matchup between the two great young quarterbacks. It was the kicker for the Chicago Bears, because a man who has tormented Toddy and I and thousands of other, maybe even millions of other San Francisco 49ers fans, and that guy is Jake Moody, who finally got cut by the 49ers earlier this season. I believe it was after week 1 in Seattle, and yet he gets signed to the Bears practice squad. They end up elevating him because their kicker is currently hurt. And Jake Moody had himself a hell of a game, and I got to give credit where it's due. And even though he's a Michigan man and I'm a Buckeyes fan, and he was dreadful for my 49ers after being a third-round pick, I hate to say it, but I could not help but be happy for the guy, Kaz, because I don't like seeing people who are dealing with mental health problems. And you could tell after a while that it was a lot of mental stuff that he was going through in San Francisco, because he could always kick it. But when you're going through that mental stuff is when you shank it, or when you do one little thing. Like, I know as a golfer that if you do one little thing differently with your swing, everything can go bad. And that was basically the case for Jake Moody with his technique as a kicker. But in this game, he hits 4 out of 5 field goals. The one field goal he didn't hit was blocked. And the cap of it all is that he hits a 38-yard field goal as time expires to give the Bears the win on Monday Night Football. And he's celebrated by all his new teammates. And it's a hell of a redemption story, but it's only one game. We'll see if it continues or if he reverts back to his old ways. But the Bears beat the Commanders 25-24. What were your takeaways from it, Kaz?
Well, in our pick'em, weekly pick'ems, I did pick the Bears to win. I said on my YouTube video, TikTok video, whatever you want to call it, I said I'm going to pick the Bears, just like that, pointing at the camera, to win. And I didn't say it as a hot take. I said it because a lot of what happened last year, the Bears did play them really well last year, and the Commanders are not a team that, even though they did make it to the NFC Championship game, they weren't a team that was just handling business last year to the point to where you would call them a juggernaut. They showed signs of imperfection. They showed plenty of flaws throughout the season. They would just find ways to win. And Jaden Daniels did play out of his mind, but we also saw CJ Stroud do the same thing his first year. You're going to have, and also, guys like Bo Nix as well, which is, played well his first year. And then now we're seeing it with, what's his name? Can't think of his name right now. Rookie. Oh my God, drawing a blank. Come back to me, please. Come back to me. Doesn't matter. Anyways, it'll come back in a second. But what I'm trying to say, no, not Cam Ward. Golly, he's not playing out of his mind. No, not
Okay,
rookie.
go,
It's a
go.
no. It's his second year. My bad. Drake May. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry. Second.
No, you're good.
Drake May playing out of his mind, and I think that what we saw with the Commanders Bears game last year was the Bears played them well. The Bears they're a poverty franchise. Let's just call it what it is. They haven't looked good in forever, since you've been alive, since I've been alive, since 2000, I think 6 or whatever it was, 2007, somewhere around there when they went to the last Super Bowl. And after that,
That's correct.
They've been owned by Aaron Rodgers. And the rest is history. And that's just the truth. And I'm not trying to say that to shit on Bears fans. It's just the God honest truth. But seeing them play the Commanders last year, coming down to the wire, that showed me enough as to the reason why Caleb Williams was picked over Jaden Daniels. Could it have been close? And am I saying Caleb Williams is a much better quarterback than Jaden Daniels? No, I'm not saying he's a better quarterback at all. What I'm saying is I do understand, because we're not going to ignore the fact that he did have to carry himself with elite poise while being down to put them in position to come back and win that game. Now, did he have some help from, my guy, out of Philadelphia, DeAndre Swift? Absolutely. But he still has to execute that pass, So I've said it once. I'll say that 1,000 times. I see the vision with Caleb Williams. I don't know how great he's going to be, but I think he's far from a bad quarterback. To go into Washington and to win a game against a team that, sometimes games like what happened last year can break a team, can break a quarterback. Where it's like, man, last year this happened, and next thing you know, they play these teams, 5-6 times in the next 10 years, and they just never beat them. Again, there's plenty of teams out there that, like the Bears, who they can't beat Aaron Rodgers. He just completely owns the Bears. I mean, he's made comments about how he just owns the Bears. Picture being that franchise where you can't beat one guy, and their personnel changes every year. So it could have been one of those ripple effects where the Bears just cannot beat the Commanders. They nipped it in the butt early, and I'm not surprised. The second thing, you look at personnel. Jaden Daniels is coming off an injury. He was not well when he got hurt. He came back, and I'm like, we're going to see. Terry McLaurin also hurt. It's just the Devo show. They don't have Brian Robinson there anymore. It's like, are the Commanders actually a team that, you look at them and go, oh man, this is a team we can't beat? Or they're a team that you look at and you go, you know what? They're a formidable opponent, but they're definitely beatable. And that's why I chose the Bears to win that game. I was like, I look at the personnel. The Bears have it. Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, who, I hope that he gets well soon, but DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, what I'm saying? They got the tight ends. And then you have Caleb Williams, the guy who some people love to hate on and some people believe in, like I do. And I'm like, okay. And then they have their defense. It's like they don't have a piss poor defense. They got guys that's made plays. They have guys that have provided pressure on opposing quarterbacks. I'm like, the Bears are far from a shitty team. I'm not going to say they're great. I don't think they're shitty. And right now you got Jay Daniels coming back off of an injury. And this is the perfect game for the Bears to go, you know what? We are a force to be reckoned with. We are good, and we can actually win a tough game on the road. I probably wouldn't pick the Bears to win another game on the road for the rest of the season, but this was just one of those games where I was like, I feel like it's the perfect time for a get back, and I was spot on. So I wouldn't say that I'm not surprised. I am surprised, even though I did pick them, but I will say that I did have it being a good game regardless.
Yeah, and I was the only one who was alone on Commander's Island among the four of us. Kevin and Jaevon also picked the Bears in this matchup. No surprise with Toddy picking the Bears and his boy Caleb Williams, but I was actually fairly surprised that I was the only one to pick the Commanders, because coming into this matchup, you mentioned Jaden Daniels coming back from injury, but the Commanders looked really good in LA last week against the Chargers. And so for them to go back home, play on Monday Night Football, have an extra day of rest, I really thought that the Commanders should have been the team favored in this one, and I didn't look at any numbers from Vegas coming into the game. They were favored. Yeah, so they were appropriately favored, and so that's why I was so surprised that I was the only one to pick the Commanders, and I thought to myself, I was like, all right, this is my opportunity to get a game up on the guys. And then, of course, I end up being the one who was wrong. So
Yeah.
thank you, Jake Moody, for that. But yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well when it comes to the Bears, that the Bears are basically just mid. And now the Bears got their get back against the Commanders after the way that last year ended. But I don't think the Commanders, in my opinion, are definitely the better team between the two. You're not going to win every single matchup, but the Bears are mid, and the Commanders, I think, definitely have potential to be a playoff team, but I don't know if they are true contenders when it comes to actually competing for a Super Bowl championship. And we saw a prime example of that in the NFC Championship game last year, where, yeah, they upset the Lions in Detroit, but then they played Philly, a true contender, and we saw the ultimate result of that. And as Kevin always liked to say last year, the Commanders were not playing Kenny Pickett in that NFC Championship game like they were when they snuck by the Eagles during the regular season. And so it'll be interesting. And you mentioned the fact that with Terry McLaurin out hurt, it's basically the Debo show, and it was a huge loss for them going without Austin Eckler now for the rest of this season. And Jacoby Krosky-Merritt, I think I pronounced his full name correctly. Yeah, he was supposed to be that dude. Like, even with Eckler starting, Krosky-Merritt was supposed to be that guy who has emerged, and he really hasn't emerged as much as people had assumed or projected that he would. But there's still plenty of time left in the season, and so we'll see what ends up happening there.
I think that they were better off keeping Brian Robinson Jr. personally. He's a guy who's still in his prime. Is he a prolific back? No, but he's a back that knows the offense. He knows the team. He came back to Washington after being obviously shot, and the fans loved him. I think that's a guy you should have kept around. Instead, they move on to get an aged Austin Eckler, who was, you saw what happened. I mean, it comes with age of running backs. I mean, at some point, running backs usually don't retire; they get hurt and then they retire. So you take the gamble on that. You completely diminish your run game. Because with Brian Robinson Jr., again, even though he wasn't prolific, he was still a formidable back. He was a back that would go out there and he could get you those tough yards. And he was a back that you had to pay attention to, So I think that was a big mistake on their end. And another thing about the Commanders too, you did mention them playing well against the Rams. It's like
Chargers,
like you just said, it's some teams are going to play well against some certain teams. It just is what it is. And what stood out to me was the fact that they were favored by only 4.5 at home. That's why I was like, wait a minute. What does Vegas know to where 4.5 points against the Bears? Oh yeah, this game's going to be close. If it's going to be close, I'm like, on top of the fact I like the Bears offense. I really do. I refuse to believe they have a bad offense. I'm sorry. Because dude, Rome Odunze be open every play. I mean, like every play, literally. DJ Moore, he's a guy that, he's DJ Moore. Saying he has, at one point, we were talking about him being top 10, and then you got DeAndre Swift. They have what's his name? Cole Kmet at tight end. Mm-hmm. And who's the other guy they drafted? What's his name?
Colston Loveland.
Yes. I'm like, dude, they have playmakers. The only missing thing is play calling and potentially, if you're goofy, because I believe in him, Caleb Williams. Other than that, they got guys that for sure are proven that can get the job done. And I just think that the Bears they're just one good offensive line away from being a legit opponent. Again, I agree with you. I think they're very, very mid. They're like a strong mid team where it's like, okay, don't take them lightly, but 9 times out of 10, you should beat them. But I don't believe that they're a bad team, and I also don't believe that they're done developing. So maybe this is a little bit of my Midwest bias coming out, and half my friends are Bears fans or whatever. But I see the potential. They're probably going to fuck it up, but I do see the potential.
Yeah, the Bears are notorious for fucking shit up. So, but for the sake of all your friends in the Midwest, I hope that the Bears are able to at least get on track of building something. And my final thoughts on this is you mentioned Brian Robinson. Yes, thank you, Washington, for giving the 49ers a gift, because thankfully, I'm going to knock on wood real quick. Christian McCaffrey has been one of the few 49ers best players that has actually stayed healthy this season. I'm going to knock on wood again, and I'm going to knock on wood again, just to make sure those two didn't cancel themselves out. But Brian Robinson is the ultimate insurance policy for the 49ers. And now we see the Commanders, they lost their starter and they don't have their insurance policy anymore. They have to rely on a rookie versus the 49ers now have that guy. And I am grateful for that. So thank you, Adam Peters. We gave you Debo. You gave us Brian Robinson. Fair trade to me, in my opinion, even though it didn't exactly go that way. And finally, not only is Jake Moody a former 49ers kicker, but the thing that I thought was so ironic about it is that now the 49ers new kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, he started his career in Chicago. And all of your Bears fan friends probably remember Eddie Pinheiro for the double doink. And so
no, that was Cody Parkey. Cody Parkey.
Oh, that was Cody Parkey.
Cody
okay.
Parkey. Yep.
Oh, didn't Pinheiro?
I think he missed he missed one too, but it wasn't the double doink. The double doink was Cody Parkey. Yeah. I was at that game, bro. That was crazy. Oh, I was in the opposing end zone, so you could not tell if it went or not. So I'm back here. They're kicking it that way into that end zone, and you see it hit, then you see it hit again, but you see it drop. But from the opposite end zone seating, you're like, you couldn't tell. We didn't know that we won until we saw the Eagles players storm the field. But that was Cody Parkey. But I think that Eddie Pinheiro also had a very similar double doink. Actually, I know for a fact he did, and Bears fans were in shambles.
Yes. Thank you for correcting me on that, because it wasn't the double doink, but it was another one, and that's just unfortunate for Bears fans. And so, as much as Jake Moody caused me a lot of pain as a 49ers fan, I'm hoping for the best for him. Like, I want to see him succeed, because I don't like seeing people down so bad and fall so far. Like, I think of another kicker like Rodrigo Blankenship, who came out of Georgia, got drafted by the Colts, and he had so much hype, and then he just fell off a cliff. Now he's doing trick shot kicks on social media until he gets signed by an NFL team or gets a tryout.
It's going to be young Waku here soon. It's like, man, when they got him, it was like, oh, hey, we got a guy, who can hit from pretty much anywhere. And it's like, get the hell out of Atlanta, like.
Yeah, seriously. And so, I'm hoping the best for Jake Moody, and thank you to the Panthers and the Bears and all the other stops that he had along the way that led to Eddie Pinheiro becoming a 49er, because he has been a godsend.